Today is Monday, September 12th. What to know about Ukraine's breakthrough on the 200th day of war that sent Russian troops retreating. It's being called one of Russia's biggest setbacks so far. And we'll take you to the UK as the late Queen Elizabeth II begins her final journey, and the new king makes his first official speech. Also, why a change coming to your credit card statement is causing a gun rights debate. Plus, a historic U.S. Open win, major changes coming to Major League Baseball, and what to expect on TV's biggest night tonight. Those stories and more next. Welcome to The Newsworthy. All the day's news in around 10 minutes. Fast, fair, fun, and on the go. I'm Erica Mandy. Thanks so much for being here. You ready? Let's do this. Russia's war in Ukraine has hit a possible turning point in favor of Ukraine. Ukraine launched a counterattack in the northeast of the country, armed with some of the most advanced weapons and vehicles from the U.S. and NATO. The region was under control of Russia for months until Ukrainian forces broke through their lines over the weekend and retook a number of towns and significant areas. In total, officials say Ukraine has recaptured around 1,200 square miles of their land in the last week. The Russians made a hasty retreat to avoid being surrounded and cut off from reinforcements. They fled so fast they left behind large stashes of weapons and supplies. Military analysts are calling it the most significant defeat for Russia since they failed to seize Ukraine's capital in the early days of the war. New videos show Ukrainian soldiers being welcomed back by local citizens in cities they've retaken and raising their flag. Even Russian officials acknowledged it had lost nearly all of the northern region of Kharkiv, though they're also claiming it was part of a planned regrouping. American officials welcomed the news of Ukraine's progress, but some also cautioned that victory for Ukraine is still far from certain. Still, Ukrainian President Zelensky says their success is giving people hope. He's also condemning Russia's latest attacks as deliberate and cynical. Russia hit power stations and other critical infrastructure. The attacks caused widespread outages and total blackouts were reported in some regions. Meanwhile, fighting is still raging near Europe's largest nuclear power plant in Ukraine. Remember, the violence there has caused serious concerns about a possible nuclear disaster. Well, now engineers recently shut down the last working nuclear reactor in the facility to protect it from ongoing battles. Yesterday, marked 21 years since the worst terror attack on the United States. Ceremonies all across the country honored those who lost their lives that day and the families who will never forget them. In New York, Vice President Kamala Harris was at the 9/11 memorial as family members read the names of the nearly 3,000 people who died, while First Lady Jill Biden was in Shanksville, Pennsylvania at the Flight 93 memorial. President Biden was at the Pentagon laying a wreath for those killed there. He spoke of how memories help to heal and not to forget. Biden also spoke of the need to defend democracy, not just on 9/11, but every day, and said that he'll continue to go after those responsible for the attacks. Just last month, the CIA killed al-Qaeda leader Ayman al-Zawahiri in Afghanistan, one of the masterminds behind 9/11. Some experts still question how else the U.S. is dealing with terrorist threats in Afghanistan. Last month marked 1 year since the chaotic and deadly withdrawal of U.S. troops after nearly 20 years there. Though the Homeland Security Secretary told MSNBC yesterday, the threat landscape has evolved from foreign terrorists to domestic extremists here at home. Credit cards often list your purchases in different categories, like groceries, gas, and entertainment. Now they're adding a new category: firearms. MasterCard, American Express, and now Visa all say they'll begin to separately categorize purchases at gun stores. Supporters of stricter gun laws are applauding the credit card companies' decisions. They say it'll help track possible mass shooters by highlighting suspicious increases in gun and ammunition purchases that a suspect might make before they carry out their violent plans. One example is the mass shooting in Orlando, Florida at the Pulse nightclub. The shooter in that case used credit cards to buy more than $26,000 worth of guns and ammo a week before the attack. On the other side of the debate, though, gun rights supporters say it's unfair for credit card companies to flag legal gun purchases because most weapons sold in stores are not used in crimes. Another possible problem is that the new category won't distinguish between firearm purchases and other items you can buy at a gun store, like an expensive safe to keep your guns locked inside. Up until now, any purchase you would make at a gun store would be listed as general merchandise or sporting goods. The credit card companies say they'll continue to protect the privacy of cardholders. No word yet on when exactly the new categorizing will begin. Queen Elizabeth II's final journey has begun, with her coffin arriving in Edinburgh, Scotland. The palace says her body will lie in state for the public to come offer their condolences and pay their respects. Her coffin will then be flown to London tomorrow for a number of ceremonies before her funeral next Monday. The new king, Charles III, was officially proclaimed as king on Saturday during a formal ceremony at St. James Palace. King Charles honored his mother yet again, as he had during his first speech as king just hours after her passing. In the taped speech, he thanked her for all that she's done for their family and the people she served. He promised to continue that work and to serve everyone. He also named Prince William, who is next in line to be king, the Prince of Wales. It's the same title he held before becoming king. And he gave a shout out to Harry and Meghan, expressing his love for them as they build their lives overseas. All right, we have more news coming up, but first, a quick break for our sponsor. We all know that feeling of finding something you love, right? Kind of a new obsession. I know I've had that favorite book to read or that go-to restaurant I've ordered from 3 weekends in a row. Well, Rothy's could be your new everyday shoe obsession. They're perfect for this time of year because they make transitioning from summer to fall so easy. They have so many colors you can wear from season to season without going out of style. People magazine even named one of Rothy's best sellers, The Point, the best flat for their first ever style awards in 2021. And I've never worn shoes that are so comfortable right out of the box, are machine washable, last me years, and are super cute and stylish. The best part is, everything Rothy's makes is better for the planet. They've repurposed millions of single-use plastic bottles into their signature thread that goes into every single one of their products. So step into your shoes and accessories this summer and get ready to be asked, are those Rothy's? Plus, get $20 off your first purchase at rothys.com/newsworthy. That's ROTHYS, rothys.com/newsworthy. 15,000 nurses are expected to walk off the job this morning in Minnesota. It'll affect 16 hospitals, including most of the largest in the Twin Cities area. Union leaders say it'll be the largest private sector nurses strike in U.S. history. The Minnesota Nurses Association says it will strike for 3 days unless it reaches a deal. And right now, the two sides are far apart. The nurses say after dealing with the pandemic, those that are still left are burnt out and working extra shifts. They're asking for about a 30% pay increase, while the hospitals are offering less than half that, saying the demands are unrealistic. At this point, neither side is really talking, so it's unclear what will happen after the 3 days. In the meantime, the hospitals plan to bring in replacement nurses and are telling people to expect to wait. A new tennis star became the best in the world at the U.S. Open. 19-year-old Carlos Alcaraz won the men's tournament, and with that, became the youngest tennis player in history to reach the rank of number 1. It was his first ever Grand Slam final, too. The Spaniard triumphed over Casper Ruud of Norway. To reach the finals, Alcaraz previously had to beat American Francis Tiafoe. In his victory speech, Alcaraz said being number 1 is something he's dreamed about since he was a kid, which really isn't all that long ago for a guy who's still just 19. In the women's tournament, another young player, 21-year-old Iga Świątek from Poland, took home the championship. She faced Ons Jabeur from Tunisia in the finals. Świątek came into this tournament ranked number 1 in the world and left number 1. By the way, this U.S. Open broke its record for attendance with more than 776,000 fans over the 2-week tournament. Major League Baseball passed some significant rules changes in the hopes of overhauling the game and making it faster and more exciting. There are 3 new rules that will take effect in the 2023 baseball season. First, there will now be a pitch timer, so pitchers will be limited to no more than 15 seconds between throws when the bases are empty and 20 seconds when a runner is on base. A second change places rules on where defensive players can be standing during the game. All of the infielders must now be on the dirt before the ball is thrown, with half of them on each side of second base. Why? Well, some coaches were moving infield players to the outfield as a strategy against certain hitters. Player reps voted against those first 2 changes, though it wasn't enough to stop them from going into effect. But they all agreed on this last change, increasing the size of the bases. Current bases are 15 inches across. The new ones will be 18 inches. Studies have shown the larger bases reduce the chance of injuries during games. Television's biggest night is here, the 74th Primetime Emmy Awards. And for the first time since before the pandemic, the ceremony will be back at its traditional home of the Microsoft Theater in downtown LA. Kenan Thompson of SNL is hosting for the first time. And if you're wondering why it's on a Monday night, well, NBC aired Sunday Night Football last night. A few frontrunners to watch tonight. HBO drama Succession has the most nominations of any show this year with 25, though The White Lotus also has a strong showing. Netflix's Squid Game is up for Best Drama, making history as the first non-English language show to compete in the category. And Apple TV Plus's Ted Lasso is expected to win big on the comedy side. We'll have all the highlights for you right here tomorrow. It all kicks off at 8 p.m. Eastern tonight on NBC or its streaming service, Peacock. That's it for the main news, so now it's time for Money Monday, when we talk about one interesting money-related news story. But first, a message from our sponsor. If you're a business owner that likes to jump to the news highlights, you'll love Indeed for your hiring needs, because you can jump to the candidate highlights with Indeed Instant Match, where you can instantly receive a list of quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. And you know, I appreciate some data. Indeed's U.S. data shows over 80% of Indeed employers find quality candidates whose resume on Indeed matches their job description the moment they sponsor a job. And when you sponsor an Indeed post in the U.S., Indeed data shows you're 3 times more likely to get a hire. Finding great talent doesn't have to be a second job. So join over 3 million businesses worldwide using Indeed to hire great talent fast. Indeed knows that when you're doing everything for your company, you can't afford to overspend on hiring. Visit Indeed.com/newsworthy to start hiring right now. Just go to Indeed.com/newsworthy. Indeed.com/newsworthy. Terms and conditions apply. Cost per application pricing not available for everyone. Need to hire? You need Indeed. Okay, now back to Money Monday. It looks like some of the millions of Americans expecting student loan forgiveness may have to pay taxes on it, but it all depends on where you live. To be clear, there will not be any federal taxes on the recently announced plan to cancel at least $10,000 in student loan debt. The American Rescue Plan, passed last year, made student loan forgiveness tax-free at least through 2025. But some states are saying they'll tax the amount forgiven. So far, Indiana, Mississippi, and North Carolina have all said they plan to tax the relief, while one analysis found that Arkansas, California, Minnesota, and Wisconsin could also tax it. As for how much people might have to pay, it could be hundreds depending on how much debt they had wiped away. Now, there is a chance that the debt would not be taxed if states end up changing their tax policies to make the forgiveness exempt. In case you missed it, by the way, we talked more about the student loan forgiveness plan over the weekend in our special edition Saturday episode, from who is actually eligible to the pros and cons to the economy. All right, thank you so much for listening today and every day. If you get value out of the show, please be sure to share it with a friend today. We'll be back with much more news to know tomorrow. For now, have a great day.